All right, good evening, everybody. I think everything is ready to go. Probably these. So I've noticed whenever I check out VODs, there is always it flows between one of two poles. Either there is a long silence in which I'm not doing anything, waiting for the stream to start, or I start mid-sentence, and I really don't know the best way for me to handle that. I'm sure I could probably time this stuff out properly, but I don't think it's worth it. Either way, good evening. I'm very happy to be here because there is a new update 4, pulling out the big guns for Phantom Brigade, which I'm loading up right now. I'm a huge fan of this game, but it's funny, like, I can be an enthusiastic fan of the game and still completely fail to be useful as far as, like, knowing things that have been communicated by the developer in terms of when updates are coming and things like that. So I'm going to try and do a little, I don't know, just a little bit of a recap. Hey, this menu's back. Welcome to the Brigade. We're excited for you to experience Phantom Brigade and to have your help shaping its development during its early access period. During the course of development, some aspects of the game might feel rough, sparse, or buggy. Every month we'll release a major update, which will include bug fixes, new features, and quality of life improvements for players. We appreciate your patience and feedback throughout this process as we work to deliver the most important features and fixes. From the main menu, check out our early access roadmap to see what's coming next for Phantom Brigade, reach out to us via the Brace Yourself Games Discord community, or read the latest patch notes for the latest changes and known issues. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and we look forward to making Phantom Brigade better and better with your help. Seizure warning, and this is important to remember. A very small percentage of people may experience a seizure when exposed to certain visual images, including flashing lights or visual patterns. These seizures may have a variety of symptoms, including lightheadedness, altered vision, eye or face twitching, jerking or shaking of arms or legs, disorientation, confusion, or momentary loss of awareness. Immediately stop playing and consult a doctor if you experience any of these symptoms. If you or any of your relatives have a history of seizures or epilepsy, it is recommended that you consult a doctor before playing. Now, one reason why I actually think it's really helpful for me as a broadcaster to include warnings like that, I know for a fact there is at least one person who watches the stream who actually does need to be careful in terms of what games they play. They have had a negative physical reaction to certain games. Obviously, I won't say who, but the problem is because I don't personally experience that. I very often, it's pretty rare for me to consider that because it's not something I individually experience. Having that reminder at the start of the game is helpful for me because I'm going to assume that whatever affects you while playing the game is also probably going to affect you while you're watching the broadcast. So please keep that in mind. Please take care of yourself. I would be crushed if you're not able to enjoy this game, but I would feel even worse if you put yourself in some kind of discomfort or worse for sharing the game with me. And while we're doing disclosures, it is worth mentioning that Brace Yourself Games did very kindly offer me a copy of this game for promotional purposes, and I do have my Epic affiliate link for probably another week at least. I will ultimately be saying goodbye to it. But for those of you that are interested in picking up this game, it's a double-edged sword. I was given this promotional key. I have a financial incentive in you picking it up and using my affiliate link because it does mean that I get a small portion of the purchase. But I also, think that the amount that I get and my enthusiasm for Brace Yourself are, to me, they're somewhat secondary considerations. I probably would not be streaming this game as often if I didn't enjoy it. It doesn't mean I won't stream it if I was given a promotional key. I do try to do my best in terms of covering games that I've been given keys for. But as always, it is up to you to decide what those interests are. You can weight your own enthusiasm for the game based on my playthrough with that knowledge, and it's better to be upfront about that sort of stuff. And then as far as the affiliate link is concerned, you do need to opt in, so either you can click that link or you can use my tag System Chalk in the sort of the checkout window just below the checkout button. That'll direct a portion of the sale towards me, but of course if you have another broadcaster who you like to support through that, or if you just want to have the money go to Brace Yourself, there's no hard feelings in that regard. There's lots of ways of supporting the broadcast. The reason I got it was to try and convert sales that would have already happened into something that drive revenue towards the stream, but please don't consider that to be a major factor. We will jump into the game, but I do want to take a quick look at the roadmap because we have an update. So, excuse me. In Arsenal 2, I've noticed, so I have a feeling that all that stuff I was excited for in Arsenal is tough to do. So it's now split up into 3 patches, it looks like. This one we've got ultra heavy weapons, turret enemy units, melee and dash improvements, so hopefully this resolves the sort of the problem from being on a different plane from the enemy. Primary missile launchers, new combat areas, improved physics, and more. I'm also really interested in seeing the improved physics. Next month, April, we are going to look forward to energy weapons. So for those of you that saw that initial trailer for Phantom Brigade, which I still think is incredibly well done, hopefully we'll get a chance to live that moment inside of the game. More melee improvements, more enemy variants. And then it looks like May will be a little bit more quiet. Quality of Life 2, UI and usability improvements, inventory management, and improved tutorialization. And this will hopefully make things a little bit easier to bring a number of you on board, because I will admit, I kind of wish that I would see more people playing this game. I'm sure there's it seems that in the Discord there's a very active and interested community for this game, but I know whenever I want to host somebody at the end of the broadcast, and I mean it's not like people don't want to have viewers. I'm often at a point where I have to host someone who's not doing Phantom Brigade just because, at least in terms of streaming attention, within my time windows, it seems that not too many people are broadcasting it. So something to keep in mind. If you like these kinds of games and you're looking to share them with people, I do highly recommend that you consider this game. And if you're on the fence about it, do know in a couple of months the game will be a little bit easier to come on board with. But if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Of course, we've also got forecasted features, combat replay, pilot progression, rival pilots, localization support, gamepad support, dynamic weather, and more. And we will take a quick moment. Oh, nuts, it opened my browser again. Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to take a quick second here because I seem to remember when I read these patch notes, there were a couple of interesting details. Let me just see if I can bring this up, though. Alright, changes in 051B1519. Reduced Vulcan duration and heat. Oh, sorry, it looks like there's already been an... it looks like this is a patch since the... Right, okay, so this is an update, a hotfix. Okay, so... patch highlights. Vulcan Salute, new Vulcan ultra heavy weapon. Under the mistletoe, 4 new missile launchers, swings both ways. Melees can now attack targets from both sides. Ah, yes, I remember there was it gave an indication in terms of control. So, fortified, turrets appear on bases and outposts. This is going to make me cry. You're looking dashing, 3 new thrusters, but so are they. Enemies can now use the dash action too. So, lots of I've learned that the roadmap actually hides some of the really interesting changes, and you should check out the patch notes. So let me just go over some highlights. Vulcan ultra heavy weapon. These will spawn randomly on units. Incredibly heavy, but useful for suppression fire and cover destruction with reduced accuracy when moving. Bidirectional melee. You can press the control button to switch which side of your target you're attacking. You can still go behind the target to open up more angles. 4 new missile launchers, so the Slug fires 1 very strong but slow-moving medium-range missile with no guidance and a large target spread. Starburst fires 10 weak, fast, but short-range missile with no guidance and moderate target spread. Missiles first travel in a fixed trajectory, almost 100% vertical, but with some spread between them in a starburst formation. The Snail, slow-moving but very strong missiles which are best for targeting stationary units. Note, due to a bug, these may not be spawning. Hornet fires 6 weak medium-speed long-range missiles with guidance and moderate target spread. Paper Dupless, have you any advice for diving into Stellaris? You've been watching guides, but they're more strategic and tactical than how they actually play, and the tutorial's a bit messy. I do have some thoughts on this, Paper Dupless, probably ones that wouldn't be very effective while I'm playing Phantom Brigade, but there's a couple things that I can recommend in general. I also really need to sneeze, so excuse me. For games like that, mousing over things that you don't understand and reading the tooltips is worth their weight in gold. Another thing that's very helpful for Stellaris is to try and narrow your attention. So, like a lot of the other grand strategy games, that game has lots of different systems all going at once, and you don't actually need to keep everything in mind. What you kind of want to do is to be able to articulate, I am choosing to put these resources into, resource X to produce resource Y, because resource Y is going to ... This is how I learn games like that. And if you don't play them on Iron Man, you can reload your save when you made that choice and see what would have happened differently if things don't turn out. But the best I can really just say is understanding what resources you have at any given moment, and to sort of be able to understand, like, being able to articulate what the problem you're running into. Like, I seem to keep losing because I don't have a big navy. It's like, okay, well, why can't you build a bigger navy? Well, usually you can't build a bigger navy because you don't have enough alloys. Why can't you build enough alloys? Well, usually the answer to that is I haven't bothered to build any infrastructure for that. All right, well, why don't you build the infrastructure for that? And then that's going to invite another question. Well, I would do that, but I don't have enough minerals. And so the problem actually was, way back at the beginning, you didn't invest in minerals. But the problem is, of course, is that because that problem has come in 5 or 6 steps later, it's a little bit hard to identify the source of the problem. And so being able to sort of focus on individual components, I'm performing this action so that I can have the following outcome, and being able to say, okay, so that worked as expected, or, oh wait, I wasn't expecting this other thing. That can be a really good way to start managing the complexity of a game like that. I realize that's probably not the most helpful, Paper Dupless. If they give me a key for Nemesis, I'll be happy to cover the new DLC, but it is worth mentioning, like, one of the reasons why I've been doing Phantom Brigade recently is that Phantom Brigade is giving me a key for the game, and Paradox has not, basically since Age of Wonders Planetfall. And it seems to be that relationship is sort of withered for one reason or another, which is a shame, but I mean, I should never really be expecting keys for things otherwise. So from my point of view, I obviously want to reward, behavior. I'm still turning down more keys than I'm actually playing. There's a couple of indie games that I'd actually really like to get back to. But the thing is that, like, if Paradox doesn't see the value in tossing me Stellaris key, that's a shame, because I've been streaming that game since before it was released, and that was great. That was actually one of the first keys that Paradox had given me. But there was no promise that it would be sort of provided forever, right? And so if Nemesis is where we say goodbye, then it's a pity. And I know there's a lot of people who will want to learn more about Stellaris who may not necessarily see the broadcast. And for that, all I have to say is, Paradox seems to feel that you can get whatever value added I brought from other broadcasters, or that ultimately whatever value add I had wasn't worth the key. And which is, again, fine, but there is another half to that equation, which is I'm not really... It's not cheap to play all the Paradox games with the latest DLC every single time, and so my own decision would be to just generally play those games a lot less, because obviously I have something like Phantom Brigade, which I enjoy tremendously, and seems to have a very active group of supporters, and I don't kind of have to pay out of pocket every couple of months when there's an update to keep doing those. So it's a shame to say it that way. I realize that can sound really entitled, but it's really just me sort of trying to weigh the incentives that I've been given. And again, Paradox is doing the same thing for themselves. The company is quite different from when I was first interacting with them. And professional streamers and YouTubers I've been talking to have said that as well. Everybody's got to make the best decisions for them. And so, likewise, I'll do the same for myself. But I'm glad you found that helpful. All right. Improvements to missile VFX. Friendly rockets have blue flames while enemy rockets are red. A variety of smoke trails for different missile types. Improved explosion effects on missile impact. They already look really beautiful. Reduced accuracy on secondary missile launchers. That's going to be interesting. Turrets will scan for Phantom Brigade units in their range and attack if they detect one there. Interesting. Okay, so apparently they're going to be constraining our movement rather than being a direct threat. So that's going to be a really good use for the slug, or not the slug, the snail missile, actually. Oh man, this game, that's really cool. Okay, so dashing, 3 new thrusters. I'm sorry you guys can't see this. I'm seeing this in my browser. So 3 new thrusters. There's a sidestep thruster that is completely unviable for map traversal, but is excellent for dodging projectiles and ducking into cover. Oh, cool. So this is another one of the things from the trailer. Hot rod, high performance thruster that cannot be used too often because of the heat output. Heavy thruster, very heavy thruster that has excellent performance. Enemy AI can now dash. That's going to be a lot of fun to see. Added a system for varying dash distance, made balance adjustment to existing thrusters. Dash distance can now change based on mech weight and thruster power. Wow, they put everything into this patch. Player dashes can temporarily jam guided missiles, allowing you to dash away from homing projectiles on your tail. We were already doing that, although not jamming. Dash range is now range now match melee attack ranges. That makes sense. Use community feedback. It is now possible to use melee attacks between units at different elevations. I'm curious what the community part of this is, because I always thought that was a temporary system anyway. But troopers and tutorial units no longer have thrusters. These units have a trooper name under the enemy pilot portraits. Looks like community feedback regarding the optimal ranges, bug reporter. There's a few other things here. But again, I don't want to spend too much time talking about the patches and such. It's cool to review this stuff. I actually learned this playing another early access game, that reading the patch notes can help you avoid some really frustrating moments in terms of things that have been communicated to the player. But I also, I want to talk about all the cool new things that we're going to be trying this stream, as opposed to just waiting out the excuse me, as opposed to just sort of reading every last detail. I was really, really thirsty there, and I've got my beloved tea. I ordered too much tea, so if it seems like I've turned British over the last couple of broadcasts, it's because I'm trying to deal with like a kilogram of tea that came in the mail. Okay. So we are salvaging on the battlefield. Let's just make sure that we don't have any units that need repairs. All right, we're good to go. So once the salvaging is done, we will just start moving on our objectives. I don't think there's anything threatening. I don't think there's anything that's threatening our region. So at this point, we're going to try and clean up the bad guys. And it seems like we hit our first bug. Okay, so salvaging is gonna go on forever, it looks like. Okay, that's a shame, but to be honest with you, I don't think that's a huge problem, because they just changed the arsenals, so we probably wouldn't get the same items. It's a pity, but no problem there. 2-4 delay of game. Good time to get into the game. So my answer to this is always going to be yes, because I've got my Epic affiliate link, which will give me money if you buy the game. But no, the honest answer to this, this game just got a new update, so last Tuesday. You do not need to use that affiliate link, by the way. I just figured that's the most convenient. I was also given a copy of the game for promotional purposes, so it's good to get that disclosure out of the way before I talk about whether or not it's a good time to get into the game. So this game gets an update about once a month. They just did a new update with a big arsenal. There's going to be another arsenal update next month. And then the month following, it's going to be some quality of life changes in terms of things like improving the tutorials, some UI features and whatnot. It is important to remember that this is an early access game. And I am actually noticing in the Discord that there is some feedback that the game is a little hard to get into as far as just navigating the timeline and that is concerned. I personally haven't experienced that, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them over the course of the broadcast. So the only caution I will give you is that there are still going to be things that feel rough and very early accessy. However, if you take a look at the last month of clips, the majority of them are going to be me going bananas about Phantom Brigade. I am having the time of my life playing this game, and the developers are very active both in their Discord, and they stop by in the streams every once in a while too. I've seen them kind of around on Twitch and on their own channel, which I should probably shout out here as well. So if you'd like to speak directly with the developers, that's a Twitch channel that you can check out there. So again, the thing is that everybody's going to have their own tastes about games, and people are going to have different expectations in terms of the quality of the game that they're getting. I have enjoyed this game, and I think it's very, like, it looks great for a game that is still relatively early on in its development, it feels like. But it is also worth keeping in mind that for a while I was also running into things where, like, if there was only a small difference in elevation between one of my units going to do a melee attack and a unit below it, that melee attack would fail. And so there are still going to be some points which are teething problems, and if you find that you get easily frustrated by things like that, it might be a time for you to wait a little while for picking up that game. But that's probably the most honest account I can give you. I have been, like, I am just over the moon about this game. Every time I play it, I've got a big smile on my face. But given that my enthusiasm may not necessarily be the same as everyone else, I can still say that I think this is a very, very good game. And the only reason someone wouldn't want to play it right now is if they have sort of an expectation of a more polished product. Because as you can sort of see in the top here, it's 0.5.1. It's still early days. But again, if you have any specific questions about the game beyond is it worth it, let me know and I'll do my best to give you as honest of an answer as I can. All right, so we're going to move on to the outpost. Again, we had to give up the salvaging because it wasn't actually progressing. I might try and make a note of that on the Discord, but I feel like that's probably a known thing. An assault. You can attempt to gain control of the structure by mounting an assault with your squad. So, Pillar 108, it's an outpost raid, smash and grab, special ops units. A resupply point, they're often well guarded, and units are eager to call for reinforcements if attacked. Raids with retreat points allow for loot without having to eliminate all hostiles. No, actually, this is still my first playthrough from the start of the game. You'll probably notice for me, I'm very meticulous when I play these kinds of games, and it looks so cool that I play in slow motion a whole lot. So I'm actually still on my first playthrough. I don't know about a lot of Twitch streamers, but at least looking at the Discord, it seems like there's a couple of people who've got through to the very end. This is I'm still kind of discovering later game stuff for the first time. Okay, well, we didn't get any. We gave up on the salvage, so I guess there's really nothing for me to go with. Anything new for me to go with, so we'll just jump in and we'll see if we can find any of the new stuff that they added. So first of all, are there turrets? New 4 enemy contacts, reinforcements arrive on turn 2. No identification received. Targets. Oh, I missed the message. Oh, Jesus. Okay, so one thing I'm noticing, doesn't give me that clear of an idea of what their range is. So 18 to 30 meters. And what I'm not 100% clear on, so we don't actually see any movements for these guys. I should actually say, just for the benefit of, because I know there's at least one person who might be new to the game, two for delay of game. If you haven't, let me know if you're already familiar with just the general premise behind the game. But I'll talk a little bit about how the basic controls work. So you have kind of this timeline of actions here, and inside the game your team has developed this sort of this AI which will predict 5 seconds into the future. You get perfect knowledge of what your opponents are going to be doing, and so this game can be a little bit like Into the Breach in the sense that you have perfect knowledge of what's going to be happening over the next turn, but you are going to and you have sort of all of this control in terms of what's going on. Now that doesn't necessarily mean, for instance, if this unit right now they're sort of moving to defend the objective here, if I do something to interrupt their movement, they're obviously not going to make that place, but it's going to give me the perfect idea about what the enemy's up to. The reason I take the time to mention this is that it looks like the turrets are going to be treated a bit differently. So there's this action of attack, scan, react with an attack if an enemy enters range, and the attack sort of action. And neither of those are appearing on the timeline. The question for me now becomes, is this because this sort of stuff happens automatically, or is it the idea that if my mechs were to enter this area, they wouldn't do anything anyway? For now, though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a rough idea of their range. So it says 18 to 30. I suspect I probably have a sidearm that's got that range. 24 to 36 still works for me. So, oh wow, they really made the optimal range obvious. This almost seems sarcastic in how obvious it is. I like that they included this though. All right. So yeah, we'll use sort of that as a bit of a marker. 23 to 45. Okay. So we'll say kind of be careful around these sorts of areas. Now, the big worry I have is this fella over here. So there's a primary rocket launcher. It's a snail, so this is one of those slow but very powerful rockets. And they are going to be shooting that at... Are they really shooting that at the Sleipnir? Okay, well that'll give me a chance to try the dodging. So it's not my favorite it's not my favorite target that they just chose, but I think I can work with that. I am potentially putting myself at risk with the turret, but I do sort of want a chance to see how this stuff works. It pains me to do so, but I think I'm actually going to focus all my attention on the rocket fella. I'll try and group that as tight as possible, just so that we get the cooldown starting right away. Now, my sniper is actually going to be pretty helpful here because they can keep a long distance away from the turrets, and if it becomes too much of a problem, they can actually start taking out the turrets. So, pair of sniper shots. It's not ideal, right? Because they are sort of moving right to left. It's going to be a bit of movement that creates it's movement that will create the lesser opportunities, let's say, for all right, we burn up if we do that. Sorry, just gonna try and adjust my cables so I stop making scraping noises as I move the mouse. What was I gonna say? Yeah, so again, it's kind of like if you play first-person shooters, this logic probably makes the most sense. But if let's say, again, we'll take a look at the first-person view. If I've got a target that's coming after me, you know, like this, and I've got a sniper rifle aimed at them. Sorry, I probably could have done a better job with the head-on, but like if I fire towards the headshot, the fact that they're moving forward doesn't create that much of an aiming difficulty. If, on the other hand, I'm going after a target that's moving, it's a little tricky here. You know, it's moving like this. All of a sudden, if you don't time out the shot properly, it's, you know, you're gonna hit air. Like, there's nothing that's really gonna happen. So normally I like to try and set up the shots so that I maximize the number of opportunities. I believe it does make a difference. I can't know for sure because I don't, like, it's not like I sit down with a lab to try and run these experiments, but I have a feeling that there's a little bit of an advantage to be gained from working that way. And until I get verification that it's a waste of time. Okay, just give me a second. I got a call. Sorry about that. That was a family member. So I didn't, like, I can just leave it to voicemail, but I wanted to make sure that, like, I don't know. I wanted to make sure that they didn't feel completely abandoned. Now I am eager. So one, I want to see how the new melee stuff works. But number two, I also want to see. All right, so that's a problem. Maybe what I can do is something like this. So I move up and around. So I'm dashing to just sort of... I'm dashing to get ahead of my colleague. The other thing I want to try, though, is I really do want to see... Oh, neat. So it looks like it's already controlling... Ah. Cool. So yeah, the only thing that makes me a little worried is the timing of the shotgun. So I'm going to try and push that a little bit further. Okay. So yeah, the melee could actually wind up being pretty fun. I've been trying to resist the urge to put everything as slow-mo, but I do sort of want to see how some of these new things work. So this one I'm going to do slow motion just so we can get a bit of a read in terms of what that missile looks like, and to see how the melee goes. Okay, good torso hit. Alright, so that's the missile I want to be careful of. We're going to watch how it acts in relation to the Sleipnir. Oh, there's more than one. Okay. There's going to be a melee strike immediately following. So I'm kind of relying on the fact that these things are slow movers, so we're going hard around the side to attack his comrade here. And it should knock him over. Nice. So now we want to see what happens to the missiles. Okay, so they're still sort of flying. So this would be kind of interesting. I'm curious how the game is going to handle this. You know, the AI, because it depends a little bit on what the the AI is supposed to be. So if it has sort of this perfect knowledge of physics, you'd think that it would also say where the missiles are going, but then it would also suggest that it would give you an idea in terms of what the movement of certain enemy units are going to be as well. So in this case here, I sort of feel like the AI is giving you knowledge of what the enemy units are doing, rather than you know. Okay, I'm gonna wait things out a little bit. Ah, nuts. So we go for a starting attack. That's probably too hot. Yeah. So I wonder how long I can wait it out. I really do like how it's adjusting the sides of the attacks. Okay, well, you know what? I can buy myself a little bit of time just by walking back. So the perfect move for me here is one where I'm able to get an early swipe in on this guy and then walk to take the objective. Excuse me. Okay, so we run in. Looks like we stop the... Oh, well, they were going to be putting up their shield anyway. Oh no, we hit them right when they put their shield down. Okay, that was completely unintentional, but that's working pretty well. Now, this is a missile that's coming after me here. I can still work with this. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run up. Yeah, I'm going to rely on these missiles being kind of slow. I'm actually going to head straight to the objective. However, the reinforcements are going to be arriving this turn, so I should probably have a plan for when they start getting crabby. Okay. So same story as usual as far as my assault rifle is concerned. It's just sort of, deal as much damage as possible. Come to think of it, though, the better call is probably for me to redirect my attention to this unit. I don't think we're going to be able to take it out, but... Okay, so this attack's already happening. I need some time to get the get a cooldown on my shotgun anyway. Okay, so we'll wait for the attack to finish. And I'm going to move. This is just trying to be a little efficient with my movement so that I can also claim the objective. And I don't normally like moving attacks into the next turn, but I'll make an exception in this case. So the next plan here is to move my rifle unit. And I sort of want them in a position where they're putting on as much damage as they can onto this unit. Now again, I'm already running it a little hot. Yeah, it looks like I only get 2 with this. I might need to rethink how the Hermes is running, because I really don't feel I'm quite getting my money's worth as far as the attacks are concerned here. So the reason why I redirected the Hermes towards this unit is because I already know that I'm going to be using my sniper. And it looks like... Yeah, it looks like they're going to be directing the shield towards the sniper. So I want to try and build the turn around these actions. So ideally, of course, I would hit them at the very start of the timeline. If I do that, unfortunately, I burn up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for them to put down their shield, which incidentally is also after they get hit by the melee unit. So I do a wait here just so that I can get the attack complete. I'm actually going to move them on top of the hill. All right. Maybe be a little less generous with the weight. And again, the key here is I read the timeline. So I've got the red ring around me, which shows that they're putting up their shield to look at my guy. Drop the shield here. And I'm actually going to push this as far to the edge as I can because there is going to be movement based on this attack. I don't want to delay the attack forever, but it's the best that I can do. So, let's see how this turn goes. And again, I want to try and make sure that I've got an eye on these missiles. Okay, where are the missiles? Looks like they kind of vanished. I don't think we did too much damage there as far as the the shots are concerned. We have, however, done a pretty good job of dodging these turrets. So it's neat that it's been adjusting my it's neat that they've been adjusting my movements. But so far we've been able to get what we need without worrying about them too much. Okay. So they are going to fire a missile, and this time the missile is going to be heading towards my sniper. So this one, I'm going to try and be brave. I am going to overheat a little bit, but the idea here is so the enemy unit stands up at about 2.3 seconds. My attack is done at the 2-second mark. So I guess the best I can do... Okay, yeah, I can just avoid overheating. I suppose the question now is, do I want to try... I'm not quite sure that's my best... maybe we'll give it a shot. I'm definitely putting a lot of faith in me taking this thing out this turn. Anyways, let's also take a look at the reinforcements. So... they're on the other side of the map. I think probably the better thing, to be completely honest... I'm not really sure this is the unit that I want kind of running out and greeting these guys. So, here's what I'm going to do. I want to be a little careful of this unit just because of the... Oh yeah, there's also a missile coming towards them, so there's a few different reasons I have for doing this. So I'm actually going to go for seconds on the enemy unit. Again, I'm just skirting the edge of... So the problem here is that there's a very real danger that I get hit by friendly fire doing this. And the drawback is if I get too close, then I'm below minimum range, or I have to go into sort of a danger... Well, this might work. No. Like, I could do something like this, but this puts me right into turret range, incidentally, so attack, scan... Yeah. Okay, so... Oh, wow, that's kind of neat. So you can build movements around them not looking in the right area. This is going to be fun. But yeah, so I'm definitely kind of constrained in terms of what I can get away with as far as this unit's concerned. So I'm going to just try and skirt the edge. I don't mind taking some heat. Actually, yeah. So we'll move this unit to pick up the... We'll move this unit to pick up the goods. We'll get the... Okay, so we're taking the shotgun here. So the question is, do I want to get my lance to cause more misery on this unit, or do I want to move the lance up to deal with the bad guys that are arriving? It is the slower of the two. So we'll wait out the shotgun attack. Yeah, I need to cool down anyway. So move up, dash. And the real idea behind this move is more that I can put up a shield. Yeah, so I'm not going to be able to reach the target right away, but basically I don't need to worry as much about these two because we've shown that that Tango can sort of handle things on her own. So, final step. I want to try and get the Hermes in place to do as much damage as possible. I might get hit by friendly fire doing that. Yeah, it's not the most effective attack that I could do, but it's early, so... Can I get a third in? Not really, and it also possibly hits the side of the hill. So, you know what? Let's just reconsider how I'm approaching this altogether. So the ideal outcome for me would be one in which... Olaf, thank you very much for the host. The ideal outcome is one where I'm able to do those attacks before the enemy launches its missile against me. Alright, I can live with this. Okay, so basic ideas. One, I want to try and take this one off the board. I'm sort of assuming that this guy's going to be taken out by either the sniper attacks or the melee. Melee is here just so I can pick up the goods. Now, I've more or less pulled the lance out of the fight so that they can go and pursue the other objective. It's also to have a welcoming party for the reinforcements. And then we're just getting the Hermes to and the sniper to clean up the remaining one. Hey, and the exception too. We got all the great people in here. So let's watch the magic happen. And I'm sort of losing track of my of the missiles. So we're going to take the wide view, and then we'll look for the cool things when they happen. For instance, there should be a shotgun shot that happens at some point. Almost hit our own guy. Alright, so I really want to see if this attack on a fallen enemy works. Well, it hit my own guy. That was a big hit in the middle, actually. Alright, so that melee attack completely failed. Successful at hurting my own unit. So they are still active. They are going to be threatening the behemoth this turn. That's not a great outcome for me. That is a good one, though. They're going to eject. Well, no, they're not going to eject because they're dead, but... Okay, so priority number one for the behemoth is to get out of the way of these missiles. They're not able to dash right away, so we're going to do sort of... what I want to do right now is I want to move in such a way that I'm able to just get out of the danger zone as quickly as possible, and then we'll follow up with a dash when appropriate. So I wonder if I can make it even a little bit further. Alright, that's too hot, so... The idea here is that the missiles are coming in here, so I want to move to the side just so that they're, you know, I'm going away and I'm not worrying about maneuvering around terrain. And then the idea is to sort of do a sudden move in a different direction to try and give them the slip. Okay, so again, I run a little hot on the end there, but this should hopefully clear out my missile problems. And we should still be able to get a... Oh no, I'm too close. Okay, so I suppose my question would be, do I want to try and contribute to the fight over on this end, or do I want to try and do something on the others? Yeah, I should probably start throwing my weight behind the efforts on the other side of the map. Alright, so they're just going to be using the shield, and it looks like they're directing their shield towards the lance, maybe? No, they're not, so that's probably going to be the Hermes. That's a pretty smart move on their part, given that the Hermes would be the most logical unit for me to attack them with. I suppose if I have the heat available... Okay, well, that's a no-brainer there. It does end me in range of the turret, so I'm going to try to make my life a little easier. Okay, yeah, so as long as I'm reasonably swift, we shouldn't have any problems there. Now, the real question is, can I... No, I can't. However, I can at least claim the objective. So knowing... Okay, so I move forward, and then if I dash up here... I'm just trying to see if I can get behind some cover while I get in position. So these guys are packing missile launchers, machine, handgun... Oh wow, it's missiles everywhere. Okay. So these missiles might actually be a problem for this particular unit. I'm going to do something a little unexpected. So I'm going to run up. I'm basically going to ignore the missile. These are slugs. So we're going to run up and say hi. And sort of for the I'm going to just have a small window in which those missiles might be able to do something to me. This could wind up being disastrous. And then, of course, the final question is, what do I want to do with my Hermes? So, as soon as possible... so take the shot. Move in on... So of course I'm building this around the idea that they're not going to move that far from this this existing position. And it's actually not that important. I should have paid a lot closer attention to what was happening with those missiles there. Looks like it all went on the shield, which is good news for me there. So this guy's down. We can move... At this point, we just move the Hermes in to do whatever damage it can on our opponents. Again, it's my fastest moving mech, so they can kind of go to the emergency areas as soon as possible. And at this point, I really just want to try and use the... Okay, this isn't going to be a very helpful position for them. At this point, I just want to put them in a spot where they can open fire as quickly as possible. Night Valiant, how you doing? Phantom Brigade's going very well. They've added new missile units, which I know you'll be very happy about. For those of you who don't know Night Valiant, he's currently playing Shovel Knight, a Brazilian streamer who I found through Kip Fox's Lucifer Within Us, an excellent game, and a game that I feel that Night Valiant did a very good job of playing. And he has been enthusiastically watching Phantom Brigade for better or worse. I do feel a little bad that I didn't slow down and see how those missiles went. I feel like I could have gotten some information there that I missed out on. But that's fine. I shouldn't flog myself too much about it because there's nothing I can do to change it. But he has been very adamantly requesting a bazooka-only team, which will be that will materialize at some point. I'm just not quite sure. I'm not quite sure today is that day. Right now, I'm just sort of dealing with the fallout of the last turn. So if I can, I'm focusing this particular unit down. Partly because they are eventually going to be focusing on the melee. Now, I'm not that worried about the melee because the attack that they're doing is fairly slow, and I am going to be able to get I'm going to be able to claim an objective off of that. But it is something to sort of keep in the back of my mind. And then next turn, we'll sort of turn our attention to this unit. And of course, I'm going to have to move the sniper at some point as well. They might actually just take the slug to the face, but we'll see how it goes. I think this one will slow things down just so I can get a better read on what's happening on the battlefield. Oh, who doesn't have an order? Oh, the oh no, the Sleipnir. That's by design. So this should be heading towards the behemoth. Making bold cinematographic choices by putting all of my units behind trees. I am interested to see how many of these things actually hit. Alright. If we can take off their right arm. That was close. Ooh, the behemoth's gonna have a fun turn next turn. Nice! Alright, they're totally out of the fight now. Or, oh, we're probably going to get hit. But didn't damage us? One way or the other, I think it's high time we got out of the area. This is just a chance for me to get my show off my own missile capabilities. Now this unit's just going to slump off and eject because we took out its primary weapon. And of course, the Sleipnir is no slouch when it comes to taking out enemies, and we don't need to worry about distance anymore, or heights anymore. So we'll get in close. So I am curious if there's any way that I can make that attack a little bit sooner. So the reason I'm doing that is if I can knock him down, it means that I don't need to worry about another missile coming after my behemoth. Which admittedly wasn't affected by the last attack, but doesn't hurt to be prepared. So we're going to move him off to the side. I do want to make sure that my Sleipnir's clear before I go crazy with the shotgun. I'll just do the one attack. That might not all be all that necessary. And then move the Sleipnir in sort of the opposite direction. Yeah, this will be a little bit more of a straightforward turn, I think. Alright, took some damage. Leave my friend alone! Alright, they got one off. And we... Okay, I was like, and they whiffed! No. We're good. They still have a weapon, so we're probably going to need to deal with them next turn still. Right, and now we get to watch our missiles. Looks like it was pretty ineffective. So they might surrender next turn. They may not. And can we get an account of? All right, so this guy's still up in the air. It's entirely possible that they will threaten. Oh God! Did I really just bonk these two heads together and not even notice it? I'll try and move them in opposite directions just to make sure that... Yeah, I mean, they're starting off on top of each other. I might have just screwed up big time. Okay. I'm actually going to move the behemoth. Okay, they're still participating in the fight, so we'll take them out. In this case, it's just sort of people standing. We're just going to stand and deliver on these ones. I don't need to get too fancy about it. Okay, they're within range, so... Part of this is just me doing weird movement to try and deal with the missiles that are coming after me. So we'll watch this wide just so we can see how the missiles move. Cool. So a little more damage than we were expecting, but... Ah! So we get to punch the turrets now. I wasn't even thinking that we need to take those out. Okay. Well, let's see how... This is actually going to be good information for us, because it would be helpful for me to know in a sort of a low-stakes environment how much punishment those things can take and how easy it is to take them out. I'm going to get the sniper to work on these fellas. It's a little bit on the edge. And I'll just move the Sleipnir. Where is the evac point? Oh, way on the other side of the map. Okay. I'll just move them out of the way. Okay, so it looks like that takes a lot of effort. Yeah, the sniper's pretty ineffective overall, so let's see what happens if we just lob missiles at this thing. Well, number one, I overheat. I'm assuming at this point this thing falls to my team. But again, given that we're focusing on these guys, it's really good to know what kind of effort we're going to need to bring one of these things down. So it looks like basically 2 turns worth of concentrated fire. Okay, that gives me some information about my missiles. I'm staying to eliminate just because, as it says, I get bigger rewards if I do it this way. But I realize watching me clean up, clean up these turrets isn't the most exciting thing in the world. I'm gonna move back a little. Oh wow, I can't. Yeah. So that's probably good to know that my sniper is not very effective against these things. Which, I mean, makes sense, right? Like, if you're gonna set up a turret, you're probably getting a sniper to go just chip away at the hardened the hardened fortification isn't exactly an optimal strategy. So a little under a minute for the fight. 1,969 damage taken, at least part of that from my own units. 15,367 damage inflicted. No units lost, no subsystems on site. 121 actions planned. 2.2 kilometers traveled. 5 units destroyed. 330 supplies on site. And looks like we got a big new missile. I think actually the snail would be a really good one for my behemoth to equip. 3 powerful, slow-moving, long-range missiles with guidance and low target spread. So that might be a replacement for the sniper. Freedom! You have successfully liberated this province and the people rejoice. The relief is palpable. One of your pilots wanders over to you as you watch the people dance in the streets. I know there's a lot more to do, she says, but shouldn't we celebrate the small victories? She and some of the other pilots would like to celebrate with the people. We've got more than enough supply, and we're already doing the salvage, so this is one of the rare cases where we're actually going to celebrate the liberation of the province. Last time we were really stuck because of the sieges that were happening in the other districts. So we'll take the last two spots in Malmland. I don't think we actually got this city. I'm going to move over here just to be sure, but we definitely want to take these ones out. I may take a small tea break because I have some leaves ready. Oh, new event. Enemy in the rubble. While you pick over the bones of the battle looking for parts to salvage, one of your pilot calls out to you. Looky what we found, he says. In front of him, an injured enemy pilot lies amongst the rubble. One side of his face is badly hurt, and his leg is trapped under a hefty piece of concrete. What should we do, boss? The pilot asks. The pilot looks at you, panic in his eyes. Capture him. He might have information if you gain his trust. Minus 20 supply, he may prove useful yet, or ignore. You don't make deals with enemies. Alright, so I kind of thought, okay, looks like the city is in our clutches. So we'll move on to the outpost. And again, our aim is to take the districts around the capital, but it seems to me to taking Bjorn makes the most sense at the moment. And that way we can sort of focus our attention on this side of the map. Alright, you can attempt to gain control of the structure by mounting an assault with your squad. This is Granite 109. It's an outpost raid, so another smash and grab. We're fighting the special ops resupply point. They're often well guarded, and units are eager to call for reinforcements if attacked. Raids with retreat points allow for loot without having to eliminate all hostiles. I should have mentioned something. So I know I took a really long lead-in to this video. I should mention that I'm actually behind on recording Oblivion episodes. So I'm going to I know. So one of the things that I think is really worth talking about in terms of my overall enthusiasm for Phantom Brigade is sort of the revealed preferences of how I try to do 3-hour broadcasts, and for Phantom Brigade it usually winds up being 4 or 5 hours. However, I have a very practical deadline in terms of if I don't end on time, then I don't sleep tonight. And so this might be a little bit shorter than the expectations I've indirectly created through the times that I've been playing. But again, you never know, right? Like, it might just be that I wind up in the middle of a really good battle. But I figure we're only an hour in now, so it's not too much of a worry. But I thought I would sort of plant that flag just in case. Okay, so this game seems to think this will be a very hard encounter. We're actually in a very rare state where we've finally, we've got a somewhat rested team. I mean, this is entirely my own fault. I really want to keep seeing the number of encounters go up. But let's see what goodies we can equip. So I guess I said the behemoth was potentially going to get the snail. So let's start with that. Oh, that's right. The snail is a primary weapon, so I'd actually need to have... That would be a dedicated missile platform. Oh, but we've got a new assault rifle. Okay. So yeah, I'm not quite ready to replace the... I'm not quite ready to replace the right-hand item with... I'm not ready to replace the sniper quite yet. So let's deal with the lock here. Right, it was the higher overall damage, but the interval is too long. What about the upper body? So Grey Noxes are not that helpful to me. I've got some Helga arms, but they're probably going to be too heavy to be practical. Alright. So I do see a melee unit, so let's see what our... We're no longer just sword equipped. We've got a big fancy axe that we can equip now. So, that's an arm, not an item. Alright, so we've got a plasma axe, which first of all is awesome in its own right. Very heavy, so... and does less damage. Okay, so axe weapons are mostly used to concuss pilots and do blind distributed damage due to their heavy weight. I feel like that should have a space between it. It's a plasma variant, axe variant with the increased heat output and mass and overall improved performance. And it's by Invictus, manufactures ergonomic equipment that focuses on close quarter combat. Okay, regrettably, I can't quite make this axe work. I want to make the axe work. It's great that the concussive damage is so high, and there is a small reduction in terms of the heat, but it's over 5 times as heavy as my alternative. So even though the cutter is looking a little, it's looking a little old, it has served me very well. Let's just take a quick look here and see if there's anything special. I've been trapped by this Fallon so many times. We've already checked this one, so this is not going to wind up on the Lance. Upper body, it's all grays, so nothing special there. These were heavy Helgas, so those might go on the Lance. But the Hermes might have an upgrade finally. So for their right item, they're currently using a gray level 10 burst. Well, there's a submachine gun. I'm not going to equip that. Actually, it's not that bad. It's got a longer range. Not as much damage. And lower concussive damage. But doesn't generate as much heat. Weighs less. You know, I don't really hate this option, you know, if I look at it. Because it would make the Hermes move even faster. Alright. Oh, you're kidding me. So finally we have a potential upgrade, and it's too hot, it does less damage, and it has a longer the only thing that's really going for it is the fact that it has an even longer range. And it looks cool as hell. I mean, that is a very handsome looking assault rifle. But this is completely unworkable for this unit. The burst, though, I mean, so if you think about the problems that we've had with the Hermes, it's trying to get the number of it's really trying to get the number of attacks in line. So I'm going to try something new here. I am going to bring in the submachine gun. A little more scatter while moving. We go from 28 speed to... Okay, that doesn't actually change the speed all that much. I've changed my mind then. That was the real appeal for that one. Alright, we're going to stick with the old loadout. So, I mean, I could give it the snail. No, let's see what kind of Helgas we've got for him. So, very heavy. So this might work. It doesn't look like I have any... I have hollowed, but I don't have empty anymore. So 425 versus 387. And this has better heat dissipation, so I don't really get anything out of that. Let's give you composite plating. And we'll go back for the old specification. And I don't think the legs did anything to inspire me. Okay, so we're basically going with the old loadout. I don't regret checking out new possibilities, but I couldn't find anything that was an obvious improvement to the team. Now the team composition at some point, especially if I were to start over again, would likely be very different. So there's a huge variation in terms of the types of weapons now, and I have a feeling that over time different encounters are going to lend themselves towards certain loadouts. But right now, sort of the existing squad that I have has been working well with me. One super heavy, and then three very light but very powerful very powerful sort of assault units. That's kind of how that's something that's been working for us for the last little while. And I don't know. I'm very old-fashioned. I'm too conservative in my squad composition. So. And here they are. Great timing. Our big bird is about to do another pass. They'll send backup our way, so don't panic and hold out for a minute. Okay, this is really interesting. Actually, maybe it's just a different... Usually when I see that bit of dialogue, what it indicates is that there's a very heavy reinforcement for it. I don't know if that's true, though. We'll figure it out. Not great for my sniper. We've got 2 tanks. Oh, good God. It's a rocket tank. Sadly, no knife Roomba. I'm really hoping that is still in the game. So for those of you that don't know the knife Roomba, okay, this looks cool as hell. Dual wielding missile launchers. I feel like I want to build one just so I can paint it. And I mean, the Helga is a really nice looking. That is a particularly brutal looking, chassis to mount a dual wheel. This, like, I'd put this one on the box. Maybe with a coat of paint, but anyways, so apparently in development, these things get generated randomly. So there's apparently a bug where you could get one of the tank autocannons on your mech, and it was ridiculously powerful. But apparently it also went the other way around, which was that every once in a while tanks would generate melee weapons on them. And so you got to see these guys with sort of like a blade sticking out of the top, which was, I'm pretty sure if you check, it's one of the Brace Yourself Twitter accounts, I'm pretty sure. Maybe it's the Phantom Brigade one. Either way, it made me chuckle. But we do have a lot of, basically as anticipated way back in the first patch, the introduction of missile launches is now creating a situation where I can no longer sort of reliably kind of hold out behind buildings to deal with my problems. And these guys are moving kind of fast, so I think they're gonna I don't like the heat that I'm generating out of that, but I want to try and make the most of my my missiles. Let me get the Sleipnir in on. So of course the next goal now is to just get out of the way of all of the sort of the incoming projectiles. Okay, so there is a collision that happens with the Sleipnir. Okay, so hopefully the first tank is dealt with. I don't really want to do anything with the Sleipnir this turn. I figured that getting them to take an objective is perfectly reasonable. We don't need to worry about the turret. this round. So the rest of it really is just a question of how I handle the Hermes. It is worth remembering, like, there are going to be missiles coming after us. Like, this isn't a free turn that I get. But it's more a question of how am I best going to respond to the attacks that are coming in on me. And in the case of the Hermes, I think just trying to close the gap as quickly as possible and make the most of the circumstances. Ideally, some of these might still get hit into the side of a building, so we'll see how that sort of turns out. But right now, I just want to get some early hits in, ideally on the tanks, but not like I'm not going to be militant about it if the opportunity takes me elsewhere. So this wouldn't have been my ideal move, but this is going to confuse their missiles, I think. So not the perfect first move, but let's see how it goes. And yes, we are going to do this in slow-mo. Oh, I do want to make sure that people aren't colliding with each other, though. Yeah, we're fine. So we can speed it up at least for the start. That's not going to do the trick. So I kind of ran away from the projectiles a bit prematurely, I think. I don't even remember who it was targeting. I think it was the... It definitely looks like it's the Sleipnir it's coming after, so this is gonna hurt. Yeah, that's some meaningful damage. Okay, so we'll take the objective. Again, there's missiles coming after me. It'd be nice if I can deal with it. Maybe what I'll do here is I'll wait it out a little bit. Just kind of run back and forth. I don't think this is actually going to accomplish what I want, but okay, so they're surrendering. I mean, the shotgun is still going to be firing, but I can move the lance up. Ah. So I got to see where I'm going to be. So if I'm going to be in the shadow of this thing, I gotta make sure that I stay close to the tower after. I think we can make this work though. How much? Okay, so they're out of the picture. I do want to see if I can make things happen. Yeah, not from where I'm standing. Reinforcements. I thought the reinforcements were actually arriving here, so maybe it wouldn't be a bad time for me to... Oh, you know what? I wasn't originally planning on doing it this way, but I do get a I do actually get a shot on the enemy. And I am gonna keep the Sleipnir here just so that I can take the objective. I would be actually hang on. I might be able to have it both ways. So if I run in like this, okay, it takes me a little far from the objective. Yeah, it's gonna be a tight window, but. Nuts. I really want to see if I can make this work. Almost. I don't think that counts as being in there, though. So if I just straight up dashed straight... okay, that doesn't work. So if I did one of these... So I'm curious if I can get away with this. I think maybe I'm willing to give it the try. Okay, so I did get hit by the no, that did not count. Drat. Alright, dropping in command is getting impatient. Let's get this over and done with. Okay, so we're gonna stay put. And ooh, that's gonna get very inconvenient for my sniper. Okay, so the question is it worth it for me to hang out and get the shots in? And it seems to me like they're already in the window, so it's better for me to try and do attacks from elsewhere. So I think if I try and do a dash, oh no, I can still make it. Oh, do they not let me attack people as they're flying in anymore? I guess not. Alright, well, that's fine. Just sets me up for a future round. This might actually be the wrong place for me to be, but... Now, the thing that's neat here is that I'm within the range of the turret, so I'm not that threatened. But I do get to be in sort of this close range fight with the enemy unit. So I'm going to move it. Actually, so I need to cool down anyway. So I'm going to throw the shield up, and I'm actually going to run right into its area. So underneath the watchful eye of the team, I'm going to bang into him, and then I'm going to find a perch. Yeah, That should do it. So I don't think he's going to be walking that off. And yes, I do need to move my mechs in place, so we'll just leave them. We'll leave them be. As much as it pains me to do so. Oh, he's dashing. That's going to be interesting. I think I still win the engagement, but because I have the shield up. But this is going to be, this is definitely going to be a slow-mo one worth watching. Yes, I'm fine with people without orders. Okay, right arm's good. They're still going to be able to use their sidearm, but... Oh. I did not even realize there were other missiles coming after me. I should probably pay closer attention to that sort of thing in future. So Dash is coming in. Oh, did I? I think I screwed this up. Looks like the collision hasn't happened yet. Ouch. Should have probably been a little more careful with the shield there. That's great, by the way. I had no idea that you could actually destroy the ramp like that. So here I'll just have my revenge. And I'm going to be a little more careful with the... be a little more careful with the defense. Alright, the Hermes is in play now. So I'm going to move them up. I'm going to get a quick pot shot on the... Probably can't get a third. But we can move in on these units. And of course, the whole reason we moved this unit in here was to try and snipe these guys. So I'm curious if I can just stand and deliver for this turn. Okay, so there are going to be 2 attacks coming in on me. Question is, what are they armed with? A marksman rifle and a missile launcher. Okay, marksman rifle I kind of want to take seriously, so at the 1.5 mark I should be moving to safety. Oof, alright. So a slight adjustment that I'm going to make then. So I'll move back just so I can make a slightly more effective escape. I think I'll probably just have to accept a little bit of damage, but I don't exactly want to do the enemy's work for them. And then I figure... Well, this is the funny thing. The attack's like over by the time I'm Yeah, by the time I move. So I guess the question is, how badly do I want to do these attacks? And I think for now the answer is going to be... okay, so this marksman does 840 damage in a full volley. So if they do that straight to my chest, it's game over. This is the drawback about having these light units. You know, they're super cool to have on the team, but you gotta keep them. You gotta keep them safe. So even though I positioned, like I did everything right as far as positioning was concerned at the start of the turn, but the fact of the matter is I simply cannot afford to take a direct hit from these guys. So here is my alternative. I'm going to wait it out. There is a missile that's on the way, and that's a primary missile, so that thing's no joke. It is a slug, though. So the plan will be after the initial attack, I just dash back, and we'll try and find a better approach for future. And the Sleipnir's now in action, so I'm actually going to... This is going to be a really counterintuitive approach, but I'm actually just going to run around the back, and it's not going to do much for this round, but the hope is that I'm going to run in and sort of clean them up at the end. Okay. So, actually there's a lot happening, so I guess I'm going to have to take a slightly... distant view. So we should see them take cover here. We should see an attack on these fellas. Then a shotgun fight. Oh, you know what? I'm going to wind up hitting the side of that building like an idiot. Not the best use of heat I've ever done, and that was a completely unforced error there. So hopefully the shield bash comes in. Nice. Nope. Counterattack. So we did get pinged by one of the attacks. I also want to see how the missiles affect us. Oh, the dodge happens next turn. All right, to be continued. They are still in the fight. Okay. So again, we do all of this in the shadow of the turret. So looks like there's another collision. So just in case the game wants to accuse me of tripping. It's a pity they're going to escape for at least part of... Well, you know, maybe I'll just push them out of the way. We'll see. Oh, I wanted to take out the turret, but it actually seems to make a little more sense to put a hit on... on one of these fellas. Okay, so we dodge out of the way from the missile, and then the question is, who do I have a shot on in retaliation? So we'll probably move up like this. I gotta wait on the... Gotta get your tea? Because of my sneezing? Sorry about that. I do need to get it, but I don't want to put the combat on hold. Okay, you know what? Before I consider these other alternatives, I haven't been looking at the enemy actions. So there's a shield move coming in. It's both shield moves. Okay, that's actually really useful information. So, is anybody worried about the Sleipnir? No, the Sleipnir gets to run in like a ninja. Wah! Get the Hermes to sort of soften up the... Oh, interesting. Well, that's why God made secondary weapons. Okay, there's a small danger of friendly fire there. Mind you, the Sleipnir's fresh, so... Okay, so now we dash. I kind of got to build the turn around when they get into position. So if I do this, yeah, they still kind of get away at the last little bit of it. Yeah, the window just isn't that big, but I don't really have that much in terms of alternatives, so the fact is I gotta dodge the attack. So I think my next best, I think I'll just stand on the street for the remainder. It's alright. There should be a new rule on the stream. Oh wow! They still got caught by that. Alright. So yeah, the new rule is whenever I'm trying to dodge a rocket, that always has to be given the priority. Okay, so we didn't get to sweep them up. So sidearm to the back here. We're going to see a shotgun in a second, and then this guy's going to hit him in the back. He's almost done. Oh, that's right. As this guy escapes, I give him a shotgun to the face afterwards. Nice! We got another crash in. Keeps trying to get up that ramp. vastly underrated feature of this game, by the way, is being able to like move the camera around the battlefield. I'm kind of hoping that with controller support, so it's a little tough to do with the mouse, but one of my sincere hopes for controller support in the game is being able to use the two like sticks to do really fluid camera movement. Particularly if you're doing something like a melee attack and just being able to do sort of a, sort of a spin like this in slow-mo. At this point, you don't even need to make a trailer for the game. The community will have that taken care of. No, that is a complete lie, by the way. Brace Yourself is probably known for a lot of very good things, and they have earned that reputation several times over. But Brace Yourself is incredibly good at making trailers. But with that in mind, like this is definitely a very very photogenic game. Do we even need to? Yep, nope. They're still going for it. So it's a stationary target. Surely this will, this will be something we can handle. I'll probably need a little bit of a cooldown. So and they're going to be coming after the behemoth. So I want to be a bit careful for them. Oh, that's interesting. So what's happening over here? So they're running around the edge. Huh. Okay, well, I am going to... I'll build the turn around trying to take this... I want to try and take this guy out early, so I don't need to worry about... I don't need to worry about retaliation on the... Okay, realistically, what do they have left? If we can take out their right arm, we're in good shape. That's a big if, though. Okay, so we'll wait it out. So he's going to be firing secondary... He's going to be firing a secondary weapon on me, so I'm going to just do a standard run in that case. Now my behemoth... Again, in the best case scenario, I'm able to get some shots in on this fellow, but they're actually in a really good spot to dodge most of my sniping. So I do maybe something like that. I'm going to be taking it into the next turn, but like just take a look at that movement, right? They're going behind buildings. I don't have a lot of hope of this thing working out. In fact, I have another weapon that I can use just... Nope, but not against them. Okay. You know what? I'm just not going to commit to an attack this turn then. I feel like I will lose more by doing that than I gain. Okay, now I gotta be careful because there's gonna be the attack scan that happens. So perhaps we do shotgun and the turret when I can. Alright. That actually does a really good job of making me completely ineffective for the majority of the turn. But I get to close the gap and make up for lost time. And I guess the Sleipnir is looking for something to do. I think I'm going to go the long way around as much as it pains me. I'm really liking the new patch just as far, like, I feel like I'm spending a bit less time fiddling with the things that I want to do. And this is good. Like, I think if I had a complaint to, like, give potential players a caution for is that I felt, and again, like, this is one of these things which I didn't want to highlight too much for the game because it's a little bit like Industries of Titan where it's not like I'm unaware of, like, when certain things are or aren't working. A minor gripe that I will have about posting stuff to YouTube is that I will usually get people who I understand have very positive motives, and they'll like be explaining to me stuff that has just been done in the latest update. And it's like, yeah, but I haven't played that update yet. Like, this video is a few weeks old and it's got the label on it saying that. And like, I don't want to be nasty about it, because overall I actually think it's good to have a culture where people want to help each other. But I know long-term viewers will also sort of understand that I really do have a problem when people are kind of walking in assuming that I don't know very obvious things and that I need to be instructed about it. Like, sometimes, I don't have the benefit of a time machine, so I'm not entirely sure I can be blamed for not knowing how... I love the way that this game does damage. I'm not entirely sure I can be blamed for not knowing exactly which patch Melee was going to be adjusted in. So with that in mind, it's a little bit like Industries of Titan in the sense that I have every faith that the really obvious either glitches or unpolished bits are going to be resolved. I mean, it's why I kind of like playing this early access game, because I'm able to comment on the things that I think are relevant, but maybe some of the broader strokes I'm like, yeah, I'm sure, like if there's something like, an obvious bug, I don't sit down and say, it's like, oh, I don't know if they're ever going to be able to overcome it. It's like, yeah, they'll probably get that fixed, and it's a little annoying right now, but the whole experience is worthwhile. But with that in mind, like, one thing from previous playthroughs, I've definitely gotten the feeling in some cases that I forgot, I should probably throw up my shield while they're shooting at me. I did sometimes have the feeling that I was very fiddly in terms of some of my actions, and for the most part, the number of clicks that I'm doing for certain things, or just generally the mechs are by interacting with the timeline, the mechs are largely behaving in the way that they're behaving in the way that I want them to. Yeah, I know, Lindell. You've hit the nail on the head. Like, it's a tough one though, right? Because it's just there's also a video which I don't talk about very much, because the last time I did, somebody went to visit and was like, well, there's not that many negative views on it. I'm like, yeah, because I delete the really abusive ones. But there's a video that I did, which I'll be honest, I don't actually like it. I think I did a really bad job of the introduction, and I have my reasons for it. Like, I was rushed in trying to get started, and I wasn't prepared, and it's really obvious in terms of the dialogue. Like, it is a bad video that I did, and the fact of the matter is when you do 3 broadcasts a week, and this is a broadcast from a couple of years ago, not everything I do is spun gold. Like, I am perfectly aware of my limitations as a broadcaster, probably more aware than I think most critics. But like, to this day, I will get really nasty comments on that video. And the problem is that there's nothing that's ever really been written in there that makes me say, oh man, I really got to rethink this whole streaming thing. But the real effect that it's had is that it's now created this probability that whenever I look at a YouTube video, like whenever I see a YouTube comment, it used to be usually a positive thing, or at the very least a neutral thing. And now what it's done is it's created this probability that I'm just going to see something that's kind of a drag. And it sucks, because there's other games that I've played where people are just really, really nice. And while I don't think the requirement should ever be that people should have to, should just always sing praises, it is kind of a shame. It's just one of these points where Actually, you know, the really arrogant, if I'm honest, this is going to sound really arrogant. I actually just resent the fact that I need to expend cognitive effort on idiots. Because it's like the comment section isn't a complaint section, right? I'm sorry the algorithm served up a video that they didn't like. I'm not entirely sure what I can do to change that. I'm not taking the video down. It would be easy to do that, and the fact that people are, I think, kind of trying to bully me into doing that makes me strongly disinclined to take the video off. But it's just one of these things where it's like, you have to, it's like internet chores. It's kind of something you got to deal with, but it's not fun to deal with. So I guess you use the fact that they are involved to make money. Sorry, who's involved to make money? Actually, that was one thing. Oddly enough, one thing I was thinking of now that the YouTube channel is over 1,000 viewers, I have considered the videos that do wind up prompting abusive comments. I've never turned on monetization for a video. So any of the ads that you see on Twitch or YouTube or anything like that are coming specifically from those providers. But I have debated in that particular case that I should do a tax, right? Like if you want to see less smoking, tax it. It's an inelastic good, so you tend to raise some revenues, and that's in one sense I can sort of be compensated for the inconvenience of dealing with it. All right, this fellow's finally down. Yeah, I've tried everything. I've tried being mean. I've tried I've tried being I've tried prefacing it. It's always going to be the case that there's going to be a cohort of people who, no matter what the disclaimers are, no matter what the context is, they're simply going to want to say how to do things. And I mean, this has been true for games that haven't been released yet. Imperator Rome, BattleTech, Stellaris. That's been a long-standing tradition of people backseating games that they have obviously not played. Yeah, well, that's just it. Like, the funny thing is the video that gets the abusive comments, I want to know, like, for search engine purposes, like, I don't want, out of all the videos that could be the most viewed, there is a video which it's the first one I did specifically planned for YouTube. And it is actually my best performing video to this day. So that's kind of nice to know because it allows me to sort of do plans for the future. That other one seems to have been because a group of people really reacted negatively to it, and it seems to have just kind of attracted this group of really mean people. And I mean, there was a while when YouTube would show you like other channels that people were watching, so you'd sort of see the usual suspects as far as sort of gaming YouTubers who are known for having very unpleasant communities. Let's say that's probably the most general way I can phrase that. So it wasn't like there were very few mysteries to me, let's say, about like why people were behaving the way that they were. But I am curious, like, why it kind of got swept up by the algorithm in the first place. Because I simply have better videos out there, and ones that are ones that are probably more in line with what the audience is looking for. But I mean, in this case here, I'm just assuming this is the phenomena of hate clicks, right? That either somebody on a website somewhere said, "Can you believe this jackass?" or whatever the circumstances were, and because that initial surge happened, the result was you know, I to this day I still see the stuff. But I mean, again, like it's the thing is like this is kind of a situation of my own creation, right? Like I did choose to go online. I chose to put my videos to YouTube as an archive, and for the most part, I keep everything that I've done online. There have been some cases where technical problems have prevented me from putting them online, and a couple of cases where copyright is keeping it from going through. I feel like I'm missing a mech here somewhere. Like the Hermes should be somewhere in the area. Bizarre. Apparently the Hermes just like fell through the earth. I hope I didn't lose them. And they're not like taken out, they're just straight up like off the map. They've like ceased to be a part of the engagement. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, so like again, it's not none of this is sort of meant to be sort of a poor me moment. I mean, I'm lucky in the sense that I have an audience that will check out my stuff, and what, you know, regardless of whether or not they like it. Like the fact that I have attention at all is already an improvement over other circumstances. So you know, I never want to take that sort of stuff for granted. But with that in mind, like it's again, there's the idea of you know, in the end, what you put up with, for the same reason that, you know, I consider myself sort of lucky to have a group of people who are sufficiently engaged with what I'm doing to be able to you know, make this kind of still worth doing, for lack of a better term. There is kind of the negative half of the equation too. It would be nice not to have to deal with that, but all right. Oh, nope, that doesn't work. So what I'm trying to deal with here, I'm trying to deal with the marksman rifle. Now, I'm already in a pretty, like a reasonably safe area. So the original plan was I'd sort of zip into the heart of the turret. So we zip in here. You know, that still kind of works. And they chose the one spot where I can't quite deliver the hit. Oh, maybe not. Wow. I didn't think that was going to work. All right. Let's watch the... So I really want to see this work. Nuts. All right. It's just a flesh wound, though. I didn't think about the other half of this, though. I might be walking into a world of pain. Okay, they're done. Yeah, they really are doing a great job with this. Like, again, the fact that this game is still in early access and it looks like this, and now I can say feels like this. It's like this I kind of want to know where this came from. Like this game has to be made by magicians. Like, I just did not think it was possible to do something like this with such a small team. I will also admit too, like, as far as slow paced is concerned, oh, I'm hitting myself with the missiles. There we go. And lower body's down, so they're going to be... Oh, wow! The lower body wasn't... okay, cool. I think the slow pacing is a little bit of... it's probably a function of just how I play the game. I suspect that I'm probably a little more meticulous on these kinds of games than I really need to be. I mean, the other thing is that strategy games are kind of nice from the perspective of being able to chat, because, you know, the action happens when I allow it to happen. But obviously, if people are, you know, wanting to see the action happen. You're not thinking of Frozen Synapse, are you? There are definitely a couple. So, like, Laser Squad is the game that inspired Frozen Synapse, and there's sort of the idea that you sort of click in your turn and then everything happens simultaneously. The difference between this game and Laser Squad or Frozen Synapse is that those games you have to make inferences about what your opponent's going to do, whereas this one you have perfect knowledge of what your opponent's going to do, and as a result you build your response. This is why I compare it to Into the Breach a lot, because Into the Breach, it does have a weird quirk in the sense that you there's a specific order in which the people are going to act, and that's going to determine how the turn plays out. And that, you know, knowing that Unit A is going to move before Unit B can be the key to a given strategy. Whereas this game, everything happens at once, and, you know, as a result, it gives you these really great sort of epic battles that happen across the screen. But it also puts you in a very different way of thinking than you would in something like Into the Breach. But yeah, Frozen Synapse is a wonderful game, and actually Mode 7 also gave me a key to Frozen Synapse 2, which I felt I didn't play as much as I was originally planning to. The campaign mode was a bit hit or miss for me personally. I actually think Frozen Synapse 1 was a little bit better for streaming for me, just because I was able to sort of go from match to match a little more straightforwardly. But as an individual game, I actually thought Frozen Synapse 2 was very enjoyable, and it just took me a little bit to wrap my head around the campaign mode. But yeah, so I think the thing is that I think Ryan Clark, the founder of Brace Yourself Games, on one of his Clark Tanks actually talked about people mentioning Frozen Synapse, and he didn't see it quite as the best comparison, and I see exactly why. Because when you say, like, basically the thing you can say is the idea of the two, you know, planning out your turns and seeing them all play out isn't really the heart of Phantom Brigade. You know, the thing about Phantom Brigade is the foreknowledge of your opponent's actions, whereas Frozen Synapse is, from a strategy standpoint, a completely different experience. You're trying to think about what your opponent might do and build your turn around that. So, you know, I'm sympathetic to both. Like, I definitely thought for myself, the first thing I thought of was Frozen Synapse, because to me, one of the big things about Frozen Synapse was to watch the playthrough of the battle happen. You know, you have these really tight little 30-second chunks of action that you'd plan out, and your little reward was to see all the things that happened. And to me, being able to see all of the actions play out in Phantom Brigade, you know, with all this wonderful animation and music and such, is a real treat. So the similarities in terms of the watching the consequences of your actions, I think is a really that's a really big and important similarity, because it gets to the reason why I like both of the games. But from a gameplay standpoint, it's actually I think that Into the Breach is probably the better point of comparison because of that foreknowledge. Yep. Yeah, very much so. Like a movie you direct. So this one I'm just running at full speed because we're popping turrets at this point. That's actually again just to return to the comment about the console controls. One of the things I really enjoyed about Stellaris's console commands was there was a way to enable the controller. As it turns out, you know, there was a console version of Stellaris released eventually anyway, which was kind of nice. But obviously I didn't know it at the time, but you had this ability to do this really smooth camera movement. And of course, Stellaris is a very, very beautiful looking game. And so for this one too, like, again, it's not terrible. Like, you know, I can try and I'll try and do some fancy looking camera work here. Yeah, so if I could like do something like push shift and then move it. Oh, hey. Okay, yeah. But like to move in slowly, if I had the you know, the thumbstick, I could sort of just move in a little bit slower to watch this happen. Or oh, we have a little way to wait. I suppose we could try something like with the eject. This is obviously a little too late, but you could try and do like a zoom in like this. Now, obviously, because I'm using my mouse, you can see the jaggedness. But if you had one really nice... I'm more of a mouse and keyboard player myself for pretty much most games that I play. But I will say that the ability to have the sensitivity of the controller to be able to direct your movement. And again, if you want to go, this is kind of what Michael Bay is sort of known for bringing to films, but to do sort of movement like this during a jet, you know, just kind of move your camera despite there's no story reason for doing so, just making sure that there's a lot of movement inside of your scenes. A lot of that stuff becomes easier to do when you have the sensitivity of those controllers. All right. So, 45-second battle, 3,457 damage taken, 16,264 damage inflicted, 123 actions planned, a little under 2 kilometers traveled, 6 units destroyed, no parts on site, 330 supplies detected, and a partridge in a pear tree. So, it's a bunch of greys, probably not that excited by it. Alright, and the Hermes is currently under repair. I was a little worried. I suppose I could have seen that here. Now, technically, I don't actually need to do the salvage because we're not going to keep these, but... yeah, for sure. And this is actually... so I will admit, too, like, I really do hope that this game encourages people... It's not like gaming YouTube... actually, it's not even really gaming YouTube, but it's not like... gamers have not been able to edit and put together sort of compilations or just kind of moments of really cool stuff. But I would say that I hope a game like this, because it really is you controlling what your units are doing, you know, I really hope this game does encourage people to put together these compilations, or, you know, just to take, when the replay mode is added, to be able to share with their friends, sort of saying, you know how if you play a Zachtronics game, you know, you'll sometimes show a really good solution and you'll share the GIF with someone. Like, personally, my hope is that people are going to play this game and feel like they can share some of their really big plays. Because it's definitely the most excited that I've gotten in this game. You know, it's pretty clear when I have those clips of me trying to run away from, from enemy missiles, and how it's obvious that I'm going from my slightly more stoic approach to edge of my seat, oh god, are they going to make it kind of enthusiasm. Like, that's really, you can't fake that. Like, that is genuine enthusiasm cracking through my usual stream persona. And those are really special moments. This game is really good at creating them. So we've got the testing range up. So it's a cache raid. It's another smash and grab mission. This might be one of the ones where there's really heavy reinforcements that arrive. Special ops. most likely containing parts, subsystems, or supplies. It's often possible to secure the equipment and escape without eliminating all the guards. So we'll suit up. I'm going to take a quick minute here and save. I wish I had saved before. It's March. Good God, it's already March 22nd. I'm just trying to see if there's a way for me to get that save file where the Hermes sort of seem to fall through the edge of the world. I think I'll just probably take the stream timestamp and go in. You saw a video where a mech dash from building to building. I see people directing short movies with it. That's great. Yeah. I mean, I don't follow. This is the thing. Like, I like participating on the Discord, but I do have a life outside of streaming, so I don't get a chance to do everything. But I'm really happy that people are doing it. Another thing, actually, I meant to do a little bit of public service. Another thing that I found out, which is apparently a bit old, but there is a wiki for this game now. And I don't know how robust the contributions have been to it so far. So if you are the sort of person who likes to contribute to wikis, and I will admit I'm a total nerd, I have contributed to Wikipedia and done minor corrections and stuff. If you are the type of person who likes to help out with that sort of thing, particularly if you are fond of Phantom Brigade, I mean, especially... So this is... I'm really kind of talking my own book here. But some of you will remember... there's a lot of early access... Not a lot, but there are a number of early access games that I've done. And I've really enjoyed, and one of the nice dividends has been when the thing gets a full release, there are new people that kind of come in and talk about how they enjoy the game, or, they look for advice or whatever. And then sometimes for some of those games, it's been the case that it's a little confusing. So, like, one thing I really love is Civilization, which admittedly I don't play a lot on stream. But to hear someone say, I really want to get into Civilization, but it just seems very intimidating. And to be able to tell someone, it's like, well, it seems hard, but just think about, X, Y, and Z. And then they'll say, oh, hey, yeah, that's not a bad idea. I'll try it and come back. And to have those people come back and say, oh my God, I love Civilization. Thank you so much. That's a really great moment. Because I love the Civilization series so much. And a big one for me has always been that when a game comes out of early access, chances are I'll be very familiar with it. But one of the nicest things that can happen is when a game comes out of early access is that, well, it's good for me as a person who creates videos to have people coming in and asking questions. It's even better if they already have a whole lot of resources that are available that answer their questions immediately. Because, of course, that means more people get excited about the game, more people share. It probably means that more people are going to stick with it. And, of course, again, if you're somebody who creates videos, maybe you lose your monopoly on answering questions. But instead, there's just a wider base of people who want to be checking out Phantom Brigade stuff. So with all of that in mind, if you are a Phantom Brigade fan, and if you're enough of a fan that you feel like you would like to try and help people, bring people on board, please do check out that wiki. You can go on the Discord and check that stuff out. Afraid you know too little about the game still, don't own it, you'd stay away from that stuff. Well, I mean, you can also just check it out for mistakes, but yeah, I mean, again, not everybody's going to do that sort of thing, but I'd forgotten to mention it before. So, all right, looks like I have finally got an improvement. So it's an uncommon, it's higher level, higher base damage, same mass, same range, same everything else. So I'm going to slightly adjust delivery. I've got, I believe actually the quality of life changes that they're talking about will include some of the stuff that I'm doing here. But my little system is I will put livery on the equipment that I know I'm using. I think probably at some point I want to do just another sort of fashion round and come up with some new paint schemes for my units overall. But one of the nice little visual cues for myself is that I paint the gear that I currently have equipped. That way, if I mess around with things and I hit the wrong button, I can still go back to the painted one. So as you can see here, right, like it doesn't really matter what unit or what weapon I equip. Every single one of these things is gray. And I'm like, even if I've got the cutter line here, right, I got two of the same sword, I can immediately identify visually which is the one that I had previously equipped. Now it'd be nice that if I didn't have to do that, but it's for me for me at least, this is so funny. Okay, so I'm sure some of you know I'm into data stuff. One thing that's really funny for me is that I recognize how helpful it is to have a graph to illustrate the point that you're making. And yet it's almost always the last thing that I personally check on a data project myself. But again, it's just one of these ones where, if it looks different, you notice it right away. That way, if I make a mistake, zip it through. Even if I did it quickly like this, as soon as I see color, I'm going to know, oh, wait, it was probably somewhere around here. And again, for me, it's the same impulse that makes people, you could do a 50-page, incredibly robust analysis where, you've reinvented econometrics. And chances are, if you get a tweet out of that article, it's probably going to be the graph where you forgot to put the labels on. It's just the way that people think about this stuff. So recognizing that instead of sitting down and looking at a bunch of numbers, and I'm saying this as somebody who loves numbers, being able to just take the time and recolor my weapons, that's a way that I've been able to get past the challenges I sometimes have navigating the inventory. Anyways, I'm gonna turn the kettle on. I don't want to waste too much of my time, but I'll turn the kettle on. I will pour the tea when it's done boiling. So I'm going to be back in 15 seconds, okay? Thank you, Night Valian. All right. I should probably just keep my kettle beside my computer at this point, but that seems like a really good way to 1, 2, 3, 15. Well, what happened, Olaf? Sorry, I didn't read the text. Okay, reinforcements on turn 4. And we've got 2 baddies. God, this is a beautiful looking... I think this might be one of the new maps. Look at that. That is... I don't know if they'll include a photo mode, but I would not say no to a photo mode in this game. Oh, I said it would be 15 seconds. Sorry about that. It's been a pleasure. Need to get ready for work. Oh, sorry. Next time you stop by, you'll have to tell us what your work was and whether or not work was good today. So thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you have dreams of mechs as you do what I hope is a fulfilling day of work. I also thank you for your kind comments, because again, I don't want to be too self-pitying on some of the YouTube stuff, but it does help to have a nice. Thank you very much for the follow. It does help to have a counterbalance. They're really showing off the missiles. I wonder if this is because of the patch, or if this is just I'm in a region where they equip everyone with missiles. But this one is a Hornet. Okay. Launches missiles across long distances, effective at eliminating groups of targets and units behind cover. Good to know. So there's a missile heading towards my sniper, and there is a snail heading towards the Sleipnir. Okay, Sleipnir is not going to have as big of a problem. Actually, okay, I'm really curious about one thing. So can we go from on high and be... Oh my god, I gotta try that. Oh god. Oh god, this is gonna be so good. Um, okay, so the Hornet's a faster moving attack. So I'm kind of taking my life in my hands by trying to do the 2 attacks. But I'm gonna run with it. The problem is I don't know if I've given myself enough heat for a dash as well. Well, I'll start the move. Whether or not I pull it off is another question. In this case, it's just going to be a standard move up with the lance. Not quite in range, but that's fine because the Sleipnir is going to be moving in anyway. And this is going to seem counterproductive, but I'm actually going to take the Hermes. Well, I'll get the Hermes to do a little sort of preliminary work, but I'm actually going to get them to take one of the objectives. And the tea is boiling, so I'm going to be back in a few more seconds. I won't specify a number now. I'm just going to pour the hot water. I'll bring things over here. Just a second. By the way, I know some of you will remember when I was doing the T essays. I have not exhausted them, so I definitely liked the statistics one, but there wasn't as much take-up for it. There is, however, I do actually have a lot of very obscure T essays, if we want to turn that into a bit. Okay, I'm gonna keep the view like this. We know what the hero moment is for sure, but. If that could have happened on the right hand side, that would have been a thing of beauty. I hope this is as cool as it promises to be. So missiles have no idea what to do with the Sleipnir now. Beautiful. And the Hornets are still coming after the Behemoths, so... Aha! But I have a hidey hole. All right, I gotta cool off a little bit. So the idea here is that I'm gonna hide under this bridge for these missiles. It may not work, but I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm gonna get the Lance to come in a little more directly. I gotta make sure that the shotgun doesn't... Okay, yeah, we're safe there. This is more of a secondary consideration. So it looks like I didn't actually make it to the objective that I wanted. So for the time being, I'm gonna just get a quick little shot off on the bad guys. Question is, can I make it back in time? The answer is no, so wait it out a little bit. I do somewhat doubt my ability to actually sustain sort of a hideout down here, so we're gonna... I think I am gonna take the shots, but I am gonna set up a move to the next objective, and that will hopefully be a time where I can move the Hermes out to move around the side. And we're also going to see what happens with all the missiles flying around, so this is another slow-mo one for sure. Oh, they are much better at aiming than I thought they were. This is going to get a little hairy. Yeah, there's definitely a few of them that are going to be able to hit us under the bridge. Oh, maybe not. Haha, bamboozled. Oh, this one seems to know where it's going, though. Might get hit here. Nope, we're going in for a melee attack. Can we make it in time? No, we cannot. Looks like they hit a tree maybe, though. So this is, of course, completely irrelevant at this point. I might hit my own guy, though. Nope, I hit the side of a building. I probably could have... I made a stupid move here. I should have moved the Sleipnir up to this target. This is completely wasted movement. Okay, so we're going to be moving to try and escape these. It's an open question if I'm actually doing myself any favors doing that, though. Maybe a dash at the start of next turn, but I think at least one of them is going to bonk me on the head. Okay, drone has a rough location of the crate, but we're going to need another ping to ensure it's picked up. Stay at the location to finish this. Okay, so the Hermes has got to get out of here, especially because these are designed to be sort of crowd smashers. So let's start by moving the Hermes out and around. I'm going to move them forward and then get the claim. And of course, if I can, use the assault. Now, I do want to find something to do with the Sleipnir as well, but first things first, I'm going to do a dash. So I think this is probably going to hurt me more than help. But this is kind of one of these risk-reward plays. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get hit by it. So in this case here, I'm just going to try and do something big and see if it works. So I'm curious if I can just get away with another slash. Not without overheating. So if I just walk forward. I don't want to be too reckless with my heat if I can avoid it. Okay, so that'll help. And then I figure I can do... So I want to be a little careful in terms of how I handle the shotgun because there are going to be friendlies in the area. Yeah, but those angles work. Those angles work for me. And they're going to be lobbing... They're going to be lobbing missiles. Hopefully we take them out before... This is one of the reasons why I wanted to do the melee attack. But obviously, the start of the turn is going to be dedicated to missile play. Question is, did they take damage? Well, a little bit. Nothing too dramatic, though. It just makes their escape look all the more impressive. And looks like I did get a pretty heavy hit on the missiles, so... It is really fun to watch these guys get taken out. Okay, fortunately, they are attacking the... Now, this is a really interesting insight to how the game works, right? So it does seem that it cares about the physical contact with the model. So I'm aiming at the base, but I don't think they're actually going to take any damage because the shotgun's shooting thin air, as is my Hermes at some point. And again, this is, I suspect, what allows us to see, you know, damage being realized on the buildings and such. But it's really cool to see little bits of I'm making assumptions here, right? It might be that you can like go into some tool and you know, and see how the game is like is it a decompiler if it's C#? Anyways. Like, I'm assuming that you are able to possibly see the guts of this thing. But for me, just what's kind of neat is to be able to make some inferences from, it's like, okay, so when you're targeting the enemy base, but when it's calculating damage, it's actually worrying about where things hit. Which to me, I think is neat. Like, I like seeing that sort of stuff personally. Okay, this guy's still not giving up, so unfortunately we're going to have to bully him a little bit more. So the shield's headed towards my... the shield's directed at my lance. This is just going to be a question of pacing out the heat and making sure I don't do any friendly fire. And of course, there is the possibility of reinforcements. So let's get the behemoth into a good position. They don't walk into anybody, do they? They do. The one place they choose to walk is, and this is a great map, by the way. I I like this map a lot. Ooh. Little overkill. So we are going to go for the... We are going to wait out for the... Oh, hang on. Decelerating, let's flank and finish them off. Okay. By the way, imagine that... So remember how the... Oh, I never noticed the floating trees. That's kind of funny. I'm assuming it's because it looks like this is sort of sitting on a... It sort of seems like this is just sort of sitting on a... I mean, most maps are like this, right? Where you can sort of see what the arena looks like. So I'm assuming that they're all sort of... The trees are designed to be on the same plane. I never noticed this. It's kind of amusing. Like, in a good way. But yeah, so one of the things is remember in the future features that they're talking about, dynamic weather. So like this map already looks great, but imagine that in future versions of this, like there will be apparently a rain version of this where, you know, you get to sort of fight in the middle of a storm. Okay, and it does seem to be that they've removed the targeting of enemy units from range. Generally, I think that's a good call, because I will admit it's probably not the most fair that you can potentially take out enemy units like the first turn that they're present. But obviously I've developed those bad habits from the start. Yeah. So, I mean, this makes me wonder whether or not there's going to be a future feature where you can just direct your attacks to geography. So like you could imagine a missile, right? You say, well, maybe I don't want to rely on the missile's targeting. What I want to rely on instead is where I think the enemy unit is going to be. And you might ask the question, well, why would you want to do that? Like, what possible reason would you have for trying something like that? And one answer might be, well, I think I'm going to have my melee unit come in and take this unit out, and I want the missile to land where the body's going to be. I don't want the missile to go chasing it so that it can hit the wrong spot. Now, if you do add target the ground, then effectively you're adding the ability to attack enemies as they drop in, which isn't terrible, by the way. Like, this is, of course, the day... I mean, this is what... If you know... I know Twitch has a lot of Navy SEALs sort of running around talking about nothing but another target. You know, like this is an actual problem that that teams have to deal with. Like if you want to perform an operation somewhere, the question of how do you get your people in place and not cut to pieces on the way there is not a trivial problem to deal with. But obviously in the case of a Phantom Brigade, which is a game, and generally you want to have some meaningful level of challenge, the ability to potentially destroy an enemy unit in the first round before it gets to do anything might be taking away some of the fun. So, okay, we're not going to escape. We're just going to get everybody in position. I don't think anybody's colliding. I am super happy that you can swoop down on people with your blade, by the way. And what are we up against? So we've got a Hornet and a Starburst. Well, as much as I want to see what a Starburst looks like when it fires, I'm not entirely sure. Oh, did I just screw myself in terms of distance? All right, so if we slash you instead... Oh, nope, because then I trip over his ally. All right, fine. So I walk it off a little bit, and then I whack you. Right, a little bit of heat damage, but I think I can live with that. We'll see how the rest of the team works this out. So obviously we put the sniper in position to cause some pain. And they are definitely going to be focusing... So they're focusing on my guy there. I seem to remember that I got away with 2 attacks last time. But if I do 2 attacks, then I wind up hitting my own unit. So in this case, we're gonna dodge and we're gonna run behind cover. In fact, maybe I'll just do a partial run. Actually, here's an idea. So I'll do a run and then I'll zip behind a building. That'll give the missiles something to think about. Same story. We'll get early attacks on... Really? Well, that's a shame. Okay, it still works. I'm still not going to hit my own unit, but it is inconvenient. What I'm going to do... I'm going to do something a little counterintuitive here and go around the other edge. And then the Hermes hopefully can be a little more impressive in its performance. So clearly we're bullying one of these units more than the other. Partly it's due to opportunity. But also it's because it's the one that I know I don't have a... Like, I don't have an immediate reply to. I don't know... Like, this is one of the ones that if we don't take it out early, they're going to be able to successfully launch some missiles, whereas we know this unit's not going to be able to get its stuff shot because the melee unit goes in early. So try and get a good angle on everyone. The only problem with the trees is it makes it a little hard to see everybody doing their magic, but... It was kind of funny to see him do a Yosemite Sam firing in the air against the enemy. Alright. First round of magic. We might be a little late on this, actually. Let's see. Come on. Nice! Just before he fired. That's great. Okay, so he successfully got the Hornet off. We almost cut the legs out from under him. That was about as good as we could have expected. So now the Behemoth's job is to get out of the range of the Hornets. And this is why the Lance is moving around the edge here, because I think the rest of the engagement's going to be fought around this side of the map. If we can get the legs out, that's great. Nice. And the right arm, so that thing's completely out of the picture. So, I think those are the missiles. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so definitely premature in dealing with the missiles, but... I have an answer for that. We're just gonna run into the area here. This is I'm curious to see how this turns out. This is dumb. I should try and get a little bit closer. In fact, I have a better dash that I can do that gets me exactly where I need to be. We call this maneuver the 21-gun salute. Okay, presumably this unit's just, just out. I'm actually wondering if I'm going to be able to... Okay, so, yep, we get an early attack in. Run off to the side. We do take some heat damage, but I think it's one that I'm willing to take, actually. So, with that in mind, I want to readjust how I'm going to be doing this turn. So ideally I'll be out of the way of the... Ideally I'll be out of the way of the unit that's... I'm sorry, I will be out of the way of the unit that's effectively going to surrender. So again, I just got to work out the... Okay, so I want to be around here. Yeah, works. That's pretty borderline. I think I'm going to wait it out and move back a little bit. Gives me a chance to cool off a little bit too. So part of the priority too is just making sure. So one, I don't want to overheat, obviously, but number two, I want to make sure that I can get my Sleipnir clear. But yeah, I think the turn's been dealt with. So I am going to do it on full speed just for the start, so I can see what happens with the missiles, and we'll slow it down just to see. Okay, now we're ready to... I think I have just caused the behemoth a world of pain. I probably should have at least dashed. Oh, no. Okay, that was really cool to watch. Okay, it looks like everything's just dead. Holy smokes, he's still around. All right. So it was his ally that was not in a position to fight that got the worst of it. God, it is actually really tricky to find that unit. Okay, yeah, that's within range. Again, the idea here is to take this thing out before it's able to fire. So that happens at the 1 second mark. This is one of the nice things about not forcing that attack into the next turn. It allowed me to make that decision, and I guess at this point I'm using the secondary weapon. And I suppose, let me just make sure. Alright, there's a little bit of worry of friendly fire from the Hermes to the Lance. Now, who are they targeting? Nope, they're targeting the Sleipnir. So, actually, the Sleipnir is just going to do the same thing that the Behemoth did. And Behemoth is going to come out. So let's just make sure they don't bonk each other on the head. Yeah. Works for me. I don't think we're actually going to need to worry about those missiles, but in case we do, it gives me a head start. Yeah. Cool. God, this new patch is really good. I'll do a debrief at the end, I think. So 40-second fight, 717 damage taken, 11,063 damage inflicted, no units lost, no subsystems detected on site, 98 actions planned, 2 kilometers traveled, 4 units destroyed, 220 supplies on site. All grays, so nothing too exciting there. We'll salvage. And I believe that's everything in Malmland, so we get to move on to Bjorn next turn. It's going to be... this is level 10, so I suspect we're just going to laugh and sort of steal the lunch money of the people in this district. However, they have been bringing excursions out into Meppel. So one of the things I will say for this game, as far as the strategic map is concerned, and I may learn... I may learn a little bit more as I progress. So it seems that the goal for the game is to take the capital. Capital is level 16. Sorry, level 15. It looks like Capital City is level 16. And the surrounding districts, so 12, 14, 13, and 10. Of course, we already have Malmland. So as the game says... seat of power of the occupation government can't be attacked conventionally due to large concentrations of enemy forces. Only a well-executed strike against high command in the city core has a chance of having an effect. Infiltrating the city for such a mission would not be possible until every surrounding province is liberated. So I understand taking these districts. What isn't so clear to me is why you would go into like the level 17, 19, 18, 23 districts, because they're much more powerful than the central... than your main goal. Now, it's entirely possible that when I get to the capital district, the answer is, aha, you have fallen for my trap. We have actually moved the capital to Laertes. Bring your best level 23 people, and we'll settle this, in the old way. Your champion against mine. There's any number of reasons, but right now, the question that I've had sort of from the very beginning of the game would be, okay, we have a very big and interesting map that's cool to look at, and I can sort of see, lots of encounters that we can run into. But it's maybe not so clear to me why I would choose to go into these more difficult regions, which don't seem to be related to my current goal. Now, of course, again, the game is in development. There's any number of things that can happen to make that, to make that different. But that's maybe one unresolved question that's come up with the game for myself. The one thing I can say that probably makes a little more sense. Obviously, we were struggling while we were in Brostland and whatnot. We did actually have to go and defend some of these weaker regions because we'd let Bjorn stay open. So it may turn out that by not taking Steigut or Midball or something like that, we leave Malmland open. And of course, if we don't have Malmland... Oh yeah, so I guess I'd have to take Steigut because it's close to the capital district. But basically, if I want to take these regions... it might be that they have a pretty strong incentive to claim these back because they know they're going to take the capital. I also should probably figure out what the arrows here mean. I'm assuming it's just saying you gotta claim this stuff before you can assault it. But then I guess that wouldn't explain why Bjorn doesn't have it. I'll figure it out. But yeah, so needless to say, there's a very large portion of the map which, other than the fact that it's really fun to play this game, and so I'm going to want to go and sort of punch bad guys anyway, I'm not 100% sure why I would voluntarily go into such difficult missions. But it's fair to say that I probably can't speak too loudly about that sort of thing until I've properly played it through. Does that make sense? That I should wait until I've actually seen the end of the game to say whether or not those provinces become relevant or not. I did want to talk. I do need to wrap up because it's just at the hour where I think I'm going to be able to get the Oblivion episode recorded, get a somewhat decent bedtime, and actually still have the thing in high definition for tomorrow's 7 o'clock broadcast. So if you want to see the high definition version, that's always on YouTube. I also need to give Twitch enough time to process it, because there have been a couple of times where I've had to delay that vodcast by a few days to accommodate their processing needs. So, and it's a shame because this is very cool. I will, however, just take a minute here to talk a little bit about the new patch. So there's the obvious stuff that got added. So we haven't tried the ultra heavy weapons yet. We did get to see the turret enemy units. So these didn't direct my movement quite as much as I thought they might, but we did have that really interesting fight sort of underneath the turret, and it did definitely keep my my lance from moving outside of it at certain moments. There's also that really interesting little dilemma that I had with my Sleipnir, my melee unit, where I sort of decided, do I want to risk the possibility of the turret attacking them so that I can dodge the marksman, or do I want to try and deal with the marksman? So the turrets added something interesting. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about having them included as something you need to destroy to properly complete the map, because I sort of feel like they're built in such a way that, like, they're not the hardest thing to deal with, but clearly if you've wiped out every other mech, I feel like most of your arsenal will allow you to attack them out and while you're out of range. And so it's just kind of like another thing you need to do. But I'm not like mad that I had to do that. It's just one of these cases where I sort of thought the battle was done, and I'm like, oh no, okay, I guess I have a little bit of cleanup to do. Huge improvement as far as the melee improvements, and actually dash as a whole is improved too. The biggest thing for me, I would say, is that you will notice how little time I have been spending messing around with my melee, and more importantly, I've just been able to do more stuff that I think is really cool. Like, I don't know how you felt about it, but the fact that I could take my Sleipnir up from on high and just, grab his big, sword and go flying down and attack someone from on high, that is just extremely cool, and I am definitely going to have some fun playing around with that. I would actually argue that the ability for this melee, because of the weapon that melee unit has, because they can inflict a crash on any target, other than the fact that the damage that weapon does is maybe not as high as some of the other alternatives, that particular unit might be overpowered now. Because if I can get them in close, I can effectively ignore, most things that are threatening it, as long as I'm able to get that slash in on time. But then again, there's a lot of things that I've assumed about this game that aren't necessarily true. For the longest time, I sort of thought that it was optimal to defend by hiding behind buildings, and that is clearly not true. With the new versions of the game, particularly with the missiles. With that in mind, the primary missile launchers, that has added a whole lot. So you'll notice that my sniper is not safe. It is no longer viable for the behemoth to stay in the back and just keep picking off whatever it sees. Overall, the Phantom Brigade has had to be constantly moving on the map to deal with the threats of the missiles. So in addition to the fact that it's already kind of fun to try and run out the missiles and such, even the way the levels are designed now, right, to do that map where there's bridges where, I'll run under, and the fact that now, like, the level of destruction, so a ramp going away when you smash into it, the fact that those bridges are probably going to get destroyed if you have a missile hit them. It'll be really interesting to see whether or not your mech automatically crashes if the bridge gets shot out from under them. That was something that you could do in the game BattleTech, where you would destroy the building underneath the mech, and you would inflict a lot of damage and a lot of stamina damage to to the Mech Warrior because because they had their ground shot out from under them. So again, Phantom Brigade is not BattleTech. It doesn't have to be like, just because you have mechs in a game doesn't mean that you need to just constantly go back to that one source. But it's an example of the sort of thing that may or may not make sense in the with some of the new things that have been added inside of the game. But yeah, overall, just so like a big update like this with lots of new toys for me to play, I like a lot. But what impresses me the most about this is just how, I've obviously chosen to stop and talk during certain parts of the stream, but the fact that I just feel like I'm clicking around, I'm planning out my turn, and I'm not spending so much time fiddling around with little details. That instead I'm sort of going from, I think I have an idea in the back of my head, to here's how I'm going to pull it off. In fact, I'd argue that tactically I've gotten a little bit worse because I'm spending less time thinking about what the enemy is going to do, and I've instead been just playing around with my own people too much. And again, I like that because when you play a game like this, generally you want to go from idea to implementation as quickly as you can. You don't necessarily want to spend a bunch of time fiddling around with melee. So they really did a very good job fixing the melee system. I'm curious actually where the more melee improvements come from, because most of the stuff that was a pain point for me on melee has actually been fixed. I'm not sure what improved physics specifically entails. I could look at the release notes, but I do want to wrap up for tonight. But yeah, I suppose the Vulcan is going to be the next big question. Hearing the description of the Vulcan makes me think that this is probably not going to be a weapon that I make a lot of use out of, but never say never, right? And then I am really looking forward to the energy weapons in Arsenal 3. So clearly that wasn't mentioned in the original Arsenal update way back when it was just one specific update. But in the trailer, you did see a really cool energy weapon that, just took out like 5 tanks in one go. There's also the sliding move that the, from the thrusters that has been implemented in this one. Just Christmas came very early today. Or I guess last week. So I'm very happy with the Arsenal patch. I mean, I say this every time a new update comes out. This game keeps getting better and better. And I'm happy for it because, if Brace Yourself just folded up, they said is like, we want to realize our lifelong ambition of being, commodities traders. And so we're just gonna go to the Montreal Exchange and we've all found employment at the Bank of Montreal or whatever. Thanks so long. Thanks for all the fish. No further updates for Phantom Brigade. I'd be a bit disappointed, but the game was really good at the start. I'm just really impressed by how rapidly this game has become so good. And more importantly, it's stuff that we were anticipating, right? Even back to some of those first streams we were saying is okay, so hiding behind buildings is working, but I bet when Arsenal comes in, we're not going to be able to rely on that anymore. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. I kind of wonder, I know sometimes developers do these special editions where they include development documents and things like that. I mean, you can already see some of it inside of the Discord in terms of people responding to comments and such, but it'd be interesting. I'm curious how much of this was sort of the vision for the game for the very start and how much of this has been a product of the early access. But one way or the other, I continue to be impressed by just how polished this thing feels, even knowing where it is in its overall development. So I hope you guys feel the same. I really like playing this game, and I am happy to keep going with it. Oh, drat! I wanted to go to the main menu, not desktop. All right, no fancy music for finishing off tonight. Sorry. But we are going to find somebody to host for tonight. Thank you everybody for watching. Just a quick little bit of housekeeping for the stream so you can know where everything's at. I'm going to be recording the Morrowind episode tonight because I've kind of been screwing that up. Is there nobody online tonight? Here we go. Okay, we've got another Phantom Brigade streamer going. So I got something I can work here. So Malgalath, who we've hosted him before. I think he's got a reasonably good handle on the game. I didn't actually hang out that long because I needed to do some other stuff. But yeah, as far as the stream is concerned, tomorrow I'm going to try and make sure that I get this. I try to get this thing recorded and uploaded as soon as possible. So ideally at 7:00, I will be in the chat for the vodcast for that. Wednesday, more Industries of Titan. I've been really enjoying the new patch for that as well. I've been a bit slower on that one, but I think I've got a couple of designs for factories that will work a bit better. And then Friday, we have been making progress in Hollow Knight. I feel like we're getting closer to the end of that one. And I'm really looking forward to that because there's actually a couple of other games that I've been wanting to play for a while now. And now that I've got a Game Pass subscription, there's even more on that list. But no promises as to what I'm going to cover yet. I think I should actually maybe do a few of the things that I had originally had planned as just sort of fun one-offs, and then we can think about another game to sink my teeth into. But if none of that sounds appealing to you, I should be back next week for more Phantom Brigade. We'll continue on with the latest patch. And until then, have a wonderful evening. Please treat Malgalath well. And we will see you whenever you want to stop by. So I got to wait for the countdown to go through. These endings are always awkward. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please treat them well, and we'll see you next time.